The first variation is the most obvious one between the ATP and WTA style forehand. Is the length of the backswing phase prior to going into the forward swing phase. You can see here how Novak's racket is never going to go behind his back. The racket is always going to stay outside of his body. While on the WTA style forehand, after the unit turn, when the racket is about to blend into the forward swing phase of the stroke, that the racket appears behind the body. We see the same variation with Roger and Serena. Well, I'm going to stop the film right when the racket is dropping into the blending of the stroke, right when the racket is about to go forward. We can see that Roger's racket is staying outside of his body. The racket is behind him, but outside of the body. While Serena, right when the racket is dropping into the forward swing phase of the stroke, that the racket went beyond her and behind her back. This rear angle is really going to illustrate how the ATP style forehand remains on the outside of the body, demonstrated here by Andy Murray. And while Venus is about to blend the backswing phase into the forward swing phase of the stroke, that the racket has gone beyond her back. The reason why I chose Rafa and Wozniacki together is because both of those players have really long loopy swings. Rafa out of the top four definitely has the longer stroke of the top four, and Kale Wozniacki always been accused of having long loopy strokes. So to make more sense of this video, I'm going to take Rafa and flip him as a right-handed player so we can have a little fun right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to superimpose both players. Now what I'm going to do is, after I line them up, I'm going to show you this is Wozniacki, and I'm going to stop the racket right when it starts to drop into the forward swing phase of the swing. And Rafa, I'm going to do the same thing right when the racket is dropping in the forward swing phase of the swing. And now you can see right now the length between the two backswing. How much further back beyond her body Wozniacki's racket went, and where Rafa's racket stayed on the inside of his body. The second variation is the role of the non-hitting hand immediately after the unit turn. During the unit turn, both forehand style, you can see the non-hitting hand is on the throw of the racket. Now, immediately after the ATP style forehand, when they release the non-hitting hand and begin the backswing phase, you're going to see how the non-hitting hand is going to remain across the body and almost parallel to the baseline. Where immediately after releasing the racket, you're going to see on the WTA style forehand how the left hand is going to be pointing directly at the ball and almost being perpendicular to the baseline. Now you're going to see how every single WTA style player is going to make the exact same move with the non-hitting hand. You're going to see here how Serena, her left hand is pointing directly at the ball, so perpendicular to the baseline. You're going to see how Venus is going to make the exact same move, letting go, and the left hand comes forward. And you're going to see how Caroline Wozniacki will do an exact same thing. Now the women are going to do this basically for one reason and one reason only. One, they let go of the left hand a little sooner than the guys because the stroke is going to be longer. And when the left hand, or the racket gets way beyond them with that big backswing, they need to stay balanced, and that left hand will really counteract as more as a staying balanced throughout the backswing phase of the stroke. Because you'll see on the ATP style forehand and WTA style forehand, when they come around, they will come around pretty much in the exact same spot. But since the backswing is so big, that non-hitting hand needs to get out in front for the players to keep their balance. Now you're going to see here how Novak and Roger Federer, non-hitting hand will remain across and their body parallel to the baseline. You'll see how Andy Murray will make the exact same move. Now the reason why the guys can keep the non-hitting hand there is because their stroke is a lot shorter, and that is really going to play into the high power slot I will be talking about later. They can stay coiled a little longer, so they can really violently come around and bring and open up their body. So that really has to do with the length of the backswing. Really is going to affect what the non-hitting hand does on the WTA side versus the shorter backswing on the ATP side will allow the non-hitting hand to stay across the body longer. The next variation is the position of the elbow during the backswing phase of the stroke immediately after the unit turn. it is really where the elbow is positioned and the proximity of the elbow to the body. You're going to see on the ATP style forehand that the elbow is much higher than the WTA style forehand. And the second difference is how much further away the arm is set on the ATP style and how much closer to the body the hitting elbow remains close to the body. Now, the main reason why the guys keep the elbow up and away from the body is because the ATP player is setting up for a much direct swing path to the ball, a much quicker swing, setting up a swing really with the arm swinging more independently from the body. Since he's going to keep the racket outside the body, the elbow needs to stay up and away from the body. But the women, by bringing the racket beyond themselves, behind the body, that's pretty much why the elbow is setting up right there. So that's really setting up that long, loopier backswing that I was talking about. And then really forcing the women now to start to uncoil into making contact versus the guys are really going to swing more the arm. The beginning of the swing will be more with the arm swinging independently from the body versus uncoiling into the shot.